welcome back to Landing Zone Home. We've just arrived at Pisgah Mountain. This is on the Blue Ridge Parkway in North Carolina, about 60 to 70 miles north of Cherokee, North Carolina. We're in the National Park here, and there's no hookups here at all. So I'll be dry camping. We're going to get the generator running to get the batteries charged up for the night. The temperature is going to be down to about 40 tonight. So it's going to be a real eye-opener for me to see if my batteries are going to be able to run the furnace overnight. We'll see how that goes. So I'm going to show you how I hook up my Champion 3400 dual fuel generator and get that hooked into my Airstream, and we'll see how that goes. First, let's talk a little bit about the journey here. You know, there's always the journey and the destination when it's involved with RV camping, and I'm not sure which I prefer the most. Probably the journey more than the getting to the destination. I do love the driving and the scenery and seeing things change and seeing the performance of the truck and how the trailer pulls and things like that. So let me set the stage a little bit for this Blue Ridge Parkway. We entered the parkway near Cherokee, North Carolina, at the very southern terminus of the parkway, and we're going to take it north up to Virginia. It's a 45 mile per hour maximum driving on the parkway. It's 2-lane, and there are many pullovers where you can pull over at the scenic spots and get out, stretch your legs, take some photos, things like that. But for RVers, there's a couple of things you need to be aware of. There are tunnels, many tunnels on the parkway, and the lowest I've seen so far is somewhere between 12 and 13 feet. I can't be specific on that, but I think it was somewhere 12.6 in that neighborhood. So that's going to eliminate a lot of the fifth wheels, and probably a large number of the bigger Class A's are not going to be able to fit through there. The other thing is, if you're towing kind of at a borderline, if you're mostly a flatland type of RVer, you may have some difficulty here. So far in the first 180 miles, we've ran across one section which was 8% grade, and I'm driving a Ram 3500 with a Cummins diesel, and there's no issue. Just be aware that this is a mountainous area, so on the downhills you're going to have to take it easy, watch your brakes, make sure you don't overheat those, and just enjoy the scenery. It's beautiful here. This is the 1st of October. The leaves haven't quite started to change yet. The temperatures are dropping down into the mid-30s at night, so it's going to be a beautiful trip. Okay, let's get back into the dry camping and talk about that. On this Champion 3400 dual fuel generator, it has a RV ready 30 amp plug right there. My RV is a 50 amp trailer, but I prefer to use the 30 amp cord because it's much lighter, easier to deal with. I just buy an adapter like this. It goes right in, gives me a 30 amp male here, and then a 30 amp female, and it's much easier to deal with than that 50 amp cord. Okay, let's give it a try and run it for just a couple of minutes to see how it's going to do. I'm going to run it off of the gasoline right now. Later on I may hook it up to my propane tanks here and use that. And see how it's doing. Okay, that tested real well. Everything's working the way that it should. It didn't take but just a minute to get the batteries topped off. They were at 95%, now they're at 100%. So we're going to wait till later in the evening. It's 6 o'clock now. And in this park, you can run generators until 9 p.m. and then start again at 8 a.m. the next morning. So if you're dry camping, in a park, just make sure you check and see what the authorized hours are, because you don't want to run your generator, when other people are expecting it to be quiet. And this generator here, as you probably already knew, is one of the quietest generators on the market. And I didn't even have it in the economy mode where it would go even quieter than that. So okay, we're ready to go. We just have to see how cold it gets tonight and how well the furnace does. Talk to you in the morning. Well, good morning. The coffee's on. We made it through the night. We cut off the generator right at 9 o'clock and then set the furnace for 60 degrees. And we stayed pretty good. We didn't get cold. And the battery, when I got up this morning, was at 70%. You can see that. So I'm quite happy with that. So all in all, I think this has been a good night. Day 2 on the Blue Ridge Parkway. We're at the Julian Price Campground. It's another National Park campground. First come, first serve. You never know what you're going to get when you come to these campgrounds. A little bit of a challenge on all of them for my 27-foot Airstream, except for this one, we've managed to get in just fine. Some of them were very limited to maybe a van or 15 or 20 foot. So you have to be real careful in these national park campgrounds. And I think it's going to work out well. My generator setup here is on the back of the truck, and for the moment my cord will stretch over to the receptacle. But the issue being is that I'm going to run propane most of the time. You can see where the cord goes over there. And propane, of course, is on the front of the Airstream. So I'm going to end up having to take the generator out of the truck and lock it to the wheels and hook it to the propane and run it that way. I had hoped to leave it in the back of the truck for security reasons. That's the best we're going to be able to do here in this park. But it's working out pretty well. Of course, if you got the National Park discount pass, it's only $10 to camp. Otherwise, you're looking at $20 per night. It got down to 38 last night, and as I mentioned a little bit earlier, the battery only went down to 70%, and that was really good. And we're managing our gray water pretty well. Let me show you what some of these typical campsites look like. Here's the paved street coming through here, and they just pick a wide spot and they call that a pull through. And this our pod is fitting in there pretty well, but anything else bigger wouldn't make it. I've even seen some in these little pull-throughs with a slide out, and you're just talking 12 or 15 inches of clearance. For a back end, this one is not bad at all. Some of these are reserved, so you have to be careful about that. It seems like most of the nice ones were already reserved when we got here. But if you can see this is what is considered a pull through, and it is nothing more than just a little wide spot in the road. So plan ahead if you're coming to these national parks. You would think you'd want to reserve, but I'm glad I didn't reserve, because you can't tell online exactly what you're getting into when you look at these particular sites. Of course, again, there's no hookups here. There is water available at a central point. but it's your campsite. You get a picnic table and a fire ring, and that is it. Well, the Airstream has a freshwater tank of about 40 gallons, and we're just really surprised at how quickly we went through that 40 gallons. Only took 1 or 2 quick showers in it, but washing dishes and flushing the toilet, we're down to about 40%. So we picked up this water jug at Walmart and filled it up here at the park. I didn't have a funnel, so I've got a bottle. I've cut a hole in it. I'm going to try that, and we'll see if this is going to work without me getting soaked. So yeah, this is working great. It's dripping just a little bit, but we're getting water into our fresh tank. So if you don't have a funnel, you might want to try out this water bottle trick. The gray tank's at 44%. So tomorrow I'll be using my portable tank to take the gray water to the dump station. Fresh water's at 63%. That's good because we added 10 gallons today with those bottles that you saw. Black tank's at 30%, and this is that's good. We've got another 3 days left on the black tanks. Of course, the battery right now is at 100%. So we're doing good. Let's go look at the generator, because I have the generator running off of propane right now. So my gasoline is all used up. I only brought maybe a half a tank of gasoline or less than that, because I intended to use primarily propane on this trip. So here it is. We're hooked up on the propane right now. And the way I do it is I just use an extension from my main propane right here. I have an extension hose running down and connecting into the standard regulator and fuel flow that comes with the Champion. Propane in. So I've got a video that shows you how to do all this with the Champion. I'll put some links in the video comments down below. I've walked around the campground this evening and talked to a few campers, several Airstream owners, and I've seen several of these Champion 3400 dual fuel generators here in the park. It's quite popular. People are just not wanting to carry gasoline around in the vehicle because, you know, it smells, it's messy, and I guess under some situations it could end up being dangerous. So here we are closing up at the day 2 of dry camping, and everything is working well. Well, my gray tank is about 90% full. We're going to be leaving in the morning, but that's not going to be enough to get us over the night. So I've got my tote and store tank right here. This is a 15-gallon tank. I found that the bigger the tank, of course, the heavier it's going to be. So 15-gallon is pretty manageable for me. And it sits low to the ground, and you want that because, especially on the Airstream, your sewer connection is pretty low to the ground. And it's got really substantial good wheels on here. So what I've done is I've got one of these adapters where I can go ahead and attach my gray water hose right to the outlet there. And I'm just going to open up the gray water and let it run in there and fill this tank up right here. So if you get one of these portable storage tanks and it sits too high, it's not really going to work too well capturing the drain coming off of your sewer connection.